Okay, I'm going live for the first time on this page, but this is my third attempt at going live for, ironically, the third installment of the We Aim to Slay self-care series. I've been having technical difficulties because I apparently am an old fart. So that's fun. I have invited my guest, Samantha, and theoretically, she will become a part of the live stream also at some point. I don't know. This has been the issue that I've been having before. So we'll see what happens. For anyone who is tuning in for the first time now, the self care series started as an idea between my mom and I um, about finding the balance between community service and doing good things for the sake of doing good things and taking care of yourself so that you kind of have like to pour from, that idea of having like to pour from to giveth to others, that idea. And finding that balance in between. So amazing women in my life that I've met along the way through mostly through pageantry, but I'm sure at some point this will branch out into other areas as well. And just sort of learning about how they both give back, right? Because community service and doing good things, volunteering comes in all shapes and sizes. And then the ways that they also take care of themselves, like their favorite forms of self-care. Um, I find myself really into like the stereotypical like girly forms of girly self-care, face masks, bubble baths, like doing a deep conditioner on my hair, painting my nails, but not this set. They're not my favorite. This was a failed attempt at something else. Um, and so yeah, that is the self-care series. And I'm gonna just double check to see what is going on. Add Samantha, send the invite. Fingers crossed. Welcome back, Charles. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, it worked! Help me! Did it work? She was there and then she wasn't. Okay. Y'all, Facebook is so annoying to me. Okay. Add, send the invite. Is it working?
I feel like I'm kind of in.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. That is good. Amazing. Hello.
Good deal.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
How are you this morning? How was your holiday?
Uh, it's been pretty good. A group of friends and I have started doing this thing where we just kind of disappear on Thanksgiving to mountains so far. Go to a cabin. We each bring our favorite recipes from our respective families and just kind of like get away, decompress, not really have to worry about the travel chaos, and it's been really relaxing. I watched the sunrise from a hot tub this morning.
Wow. Okay.
My friends are like, that's self-care.
That is self-care. That is like the
Yeah,
epitome of self-care. I don't know if
yeah.
you heard what I was saying like right before you joined about like bubble baths, face masks, like
Yeah,
yes, self-care.
yeah.
So, for those of us who maybe are not as familiar with you, I feel like I've gotten to know you a lot over like the last few weeks while we've been
Yeah.
planning this. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Samantha. Um, I am I say Air Force veteran. I'm still in the Air Force. I currently serve in the Reserve. I live in Florida, so when I'm involved in the pageantry thing, I try to represent my home state. Um, and I am a huge advocate for Fisher House Foundation. I do a lot of my volunteer time with Fisher House of the Emerald Coast, which is the local house to me. I got really lucky plugging in with one of their executive directors. She makes sure she invites me to all of their events that they have going on here. She'll send me out to go represent Fisher House, and I love to wear a sash because then people ask me questions, and it's a good excuse for me to talk about Fisher House. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to talk about Fisher House and like let some people who maybe aren't as familiar know what they do and what they're about?
yeah. So the quickest way that I can usually equate it, which helps that you had Chelsea on your last podcast, she talks about Ronald McDonald House a lot. I kind of equate it to Ronald McDonald House, except for veterans and their families. So when you kind of start digging into the story of Fisher House, they try to have a house, like a medical caretaking type house, on most installations. So if you have a military family member that needs to receive extensive medical care or needs to have like an extended stay, then it's a good place for their family to be nearby, help save a little money, keep them close, keep them fed, give them a safe place to be.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So, do you work with any other organizations? Or are there any other forms of volunteer service that you enjoy doing, or do you mostly work with them?
So I am a zone officer with a military motorcycle club.
Okay.
So mentorship and safe riding is the focus of that club. I started when I first joined the Air Force, when I first went active duty. I actually had the motorcycle endorsement on my driver's license, even though I had never ridden before. And that kind of annoyed the safety officer in my squadron, because me having the endorsement meant he had to track me for safety purposes, make sure I have all of my safety training up to date and everything. But I didn't actually like have a motorcycle. So the system kind of like glitched out on me a little bit, and I'm like, no, it's fine. I'll go to the basic riders course. I'll ride the bike. You know, we'll get that taken care of. I'll at least do the safety courses. And that, like, the first time, like, you sit on the bike, you kind of like walk, like you balance on it and walk a little bit. That's the first thing you do. Later on, you ride like very slowly, right? But it's the first time you pick up your feet, and that was a really cool feeling. Like, I really enjoyed that. And so I actually turned around and bought a Ninja, a good starter bike for a lot of people. I think the next week, actually, pretty quickly, I bought a motorcycle after that. And then the same safety officer had previously been a member at like a previous base, a member of this club, and he wanted to start up a chapter where we were. So I kind of got to help reactivate a dormant chapter at our base. And then ever since then, everywhere I've been stationed, there has been a chapter, and I've kind of affiliated with them each way, which is really cool because obviously in military I move a lot. There's been a chapter almost everywhere that I've been, and I've been able to plug in immediately into a community and into a social network. And then the Green Knights also as a club is pretty philanthropic as well. The first chapter that I started, their kind of personal philanthropy was the Battle Buddy Foundation, which matches up service dogs to wounded veterans. Overall, every time there's Boys for Tots run, there's probably going to be a Green Knights chapter that's also involved. Yeah, stuff like that. We'll do poker runs to raise money often, so you get to go ride out in like some of the prettiest back roads of your area. So it's been awesome.
Okay, that sounds awesome. And what I'm learning is that you are always busy.
Yeah.
Which is not always a bad thing. I'm one of those people also. Like, I do not know how to take a day off, even when I have a day off.
Right. Right, yeah.
So, because you're always so busy, what are your go-to ways to actually like take time for yourself when you find that little pocket of free time?
Right. So one of the first questions that you had asked me was, what is my favorite form of self-care? And I commented on coffee. And I don't think that that was an expected answer, but like, hear me out, okay? So in the morning when I wake up, I'm sitting in a coffee shop right now. I have a really nice, it's like a Breville brand espresso machine where it grinds your beans. It has the steamer for your milk and like this whole setup on it, right? And that's like a 10-minute process for me to make a latte. But that's my 10 minutes where I'm making myself a latte. And then I take that latte, and my little dog, she's ready. When she hears the steamer going, she's ready for it, because as soon as I get my latte and clean up my machine and put it away, we go into the sunroom and we have cuddle time. I'm probably reading or like scrolling Facebook or reading emails, whatever. That's my preparation for the day. And I'm so fortunate that my current work schedule actually allows for me to take that time. Like, I'm not feeling stressed like I have to be there at a certain time and immediately get started or whatever. I get to take that time for myself. the way that that is self-care for acts of service is I actually prepare my machine the night before. I go ahead and fill the tank with water. I go ahead and fill the hopper with coffee beans, and it's ready to go. So I'm not having to like wake up and do all the extra preparation. I can launch into the part that I like, which is crafting my favorite beverage. So there's little moments where I can do something like past me can do something for future me, and then it
Mhm.
kind of makes future me's process easier. Like we're gonna have coffee every day. I have the caffeine addiction. I will get the caffeine headache. I'm going to have coffee in some form, right? But if I can prepare that for myself ahead of time, then that's the little thing that like I appreciate. Like thank you, past me, for taking care of future me.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if I had ever considered coffee to be my self-care prior to getting your answer to that, but I have to
Right?
say, like, I also have a caffeine addiction. I have my coffee right here with me, and I'm such a weenie about it. Like, it has to be the same brand with the same amount of sugar, the same, like, amount of milk every single time. And I, like, have it, like, proportioned by the cup that I use. It's not even like I use the same set of cups like
Yeah.
every time because I know exactly where the ratios are going to be. Like the coffee will
Yeah.
be here. I have this much space for milk. Like I just when there's a disruption to the process, it's like my day hasn't even started because I
Yeah.
haven't had my coffee.
Yeah, I usually, I mean, I have like my espresso machine, but I also have like multiple backup plants. So I have a couple of French presses. I have a mocha pot, which I actually took with me to Iraq on deployment. I had a little hot plate and my mocha pot,
Mhm.
and then that was like the number one item that people sent me in care packages. It's all these different kinds of ground coffee for me. People know me. I had someone I referred to as a coffee angel. I figured out later it was my stepdad, but he sent me a case of coffee and a mug.
Aw.
So while I was out there, of course, it had like no hacking slip or anything in it for me to figure out. So I posted about it on Facebook and he tested out. But um, yeah, I've got that, and there's a little indie coffee shop that's on my way to work. And then if I really wanted to, there's like 4 Starbucks in the city that I live in. So
Okay, I love that. Your stepdad sounds adorable.
he is. I love him so much.
So, other than coffee, what are some of your, oh, oops, fix the thing. What are some of your other ways that you like to take time for yourself or like just kind of like connect with yourself?
So bubble baths are not really my thing, I guess. I feel like I have it dries out my skin. So like if I take a bubble bath, I still feel
Hmm.
like I still need to take a shower, right? But I started doing this thing. The Air Force sent me to school with the Army last year. um, long story. Anyway, so I lived in Kansas for a year. I was at Fort Leavenworth just visiting, just to clarify that. And then I started doing this thing after class. It was a master's program. They were basically blasting us through to get a master's degree in 10 months. So it was
Oh,
kind of a
wow.
little intense. Like this, the schedule seemed easy. We were out of class usually by 3:30 every day, but that didn't mean we were done for the day. But
Mm.
I started doing this thing where the way my bed was positioned in my apartment, it's a little studio apartment, if I got home early in the afternoon, the sun was streaming across the bed. So I was just laying in the sun for a little bit. So my friends have invited me to be in a house where Liz is going to find that side or sun baths or something like that. And that seemed like a good resort for me. I generally you commented earlier that I'm very early, so yes, I am also in the past year most following player with a house. So maybe to
Mm.
understand first of all this happening and was going on just so you know knowing what it is and what I can do to treat it or cope with it has kind of forced me to slow down a little bit. So another thing I like to say for self-care, you're allowed to be selfish and shameless about it.
Mhm.
So I mean, I've gotten better at not feeling bad about saying no. I don't think that mean I need to just I normally keep a lot of believing myself in my privilege. Um, but knowing that yeah, that event sounds like it would be really great and I need to go. well, I don't think it's in the best interest for me right now to expend that energy. And I started really becoming aware that when I was looking at like, pictures like candid shots that would be taken of me at an event, and I feel like my eyes are like closed, or I can see like the happiness from the lack of sleep or lack of rest. And I was just being able to sit on the couch and do nothing is going back to like rest in my body and with accountability that more than you realize. So in committing with that and knowing that it could be more beneficial. And I'm not selfishly taking care of myself and like not allowing myself to selflessly take care of other people in the process I care about, right?
Yes.
So basically making them pay to be something like that.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. And that's kind of like the whole basis behind this concept, right? Is that like as much as we want to do all these things to help other people, and that's a noble cause, you also have to help yourself. Like you have to be able to take the time to rest when you need rest, to work when you have to get things done, but like you have to kind of like protect yourself, and like there's so many levels to self-care that I'm really like learning more about through doing this series, where there's like, you know, the physical, where some people are like, I have to go to the gym every single day. I know I feel better when I go to the gym. Do I always prioritize it? No. Unfortunately, there are other things that I allow to become more important. There's like the mental health of like, you know, some people journal, or, you know, they go for a walk and they just sort of like, they listen to a meditation or something along those lines. Or I like doing some of the more, you know, like, I guess they're kind of superficial, but I like doing, you know, a face mask and like sitting down and chilling and like painting my nails, and like, yeah, maybe it takes me 3 hours, but you know what? Those are my 3 hours to watch my show, to paint my nails, and like try something new and be artistic. Or like one of my sisters is a painter, and that's what she likes to do when she has time or she needs to like have a creative outlet. There's so many different ways that you can take a moment for yourself. It doesn't even have to be like something with an end product. It can be like doing some light stretching for 5 minutes, you know, which I find so exciting. You know, it's so user friendly.
Yeah, I do like that concept of just being able to, it doesn't have to be an all day thing. It doesn't even have to be like a 6 hour thing, or if I could just start at 10 minutes of making my coffee more, then that's sufficient for at least that period of time, right? So, um, yeah, I think that also is the thing that I feel like I'm a simple day and I'm still spending the time I need to get that rest that I require.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the things that you think are like important for people to know, either about your journey, your self-care, or your volunteer service efforts, or how they can also help contribute to them?
So you're one man, that's probably my answer about the coffee shop. But I understand the question is, what are some of the things that I want people to know about my journey and how that ties into my own career? Okay. Um, I kind of touched on the second but I really did want to bring home selfish. Like, for my self-focus, it's probably the therapist that I had at the time when I received this diagnosis. She also had a reality. At the reason I see her because she moved. So, um, yeah, and I miss her a lot. Anyway, I have a new one, but she commented about like how hockey brings stress, and the job that I had at the time that I was seeing her was extremely stressful for me. Um, but yeah, I didn't anymore. But she was before we had this conversation that I was doing something wrong. I was losing a crazy amount of weight. It wasn't like there was no reason that I could control that. But she was commenting about just the way the gut can react to trying to let for 30 stress. And then it turns out I have crossing. So it's like as long as I can, it's like there's no specific cause for frogs, but I can see how what I was going through to exacerbate the position, as
Mm-hmm.
well as it or exacerbated the condition, as well as the medical care that I was very disrupted and broken because of COVID and we were in the middle of it, all this stuff. So it took years, about 2 years, finally getting routed to their specialist. I actually found out was started. Um, that like when you're younger, I'm getting sick, right? I'm not but when you think about, like, I was watching it past, some series ago, you're talking about, like, when you're younger, when you're college, and you just go, 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 and I can't do that anymore. Now I have that diagnosis on top of that, I can't do that anymore, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling bad that I don't have time to do that anymore. So I just really wanted to bring home that it's okay to be selfish about taking care of yourself. Because again, I was wrong. So that I look to do with knowing myself better, I'm getting myself to the point where I do the hospital again. I'm of no use to Fisher House. I'm of use to Great Nights. I am of no use to my head at home. You know, the friends that I still want to talk to, stuff like that. I really miss Thanksgiving because I was hospitalized due to complications of drugs. Right? So I was like, that is very important for me to stop and like self-test and be aware of what I'm doing and how I'm down maybe. Do I need to say yes? Do I actually say no to an event? The cool thing about that is I have heard people around me who think enough to me. So it's almost like they're ready to step in and work out for me. Something like really critical. Something that's gonna happen for whatever reason. But yeah, the people I surround myself with have been very helpful in that aspect as well. The people that are willing to like look me eyes and be like, hey, are you gonna taking into this and you know, stuff like that, as well as helping me handing out coffee. So at least bring me coffee. Coffee is a love language. I will remember. But yeah, sure. Being selfish about it, surrounding myself with good people. If you can't take care of yourself, then you can't be involved in other things. And that been very real for me the past couple years.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like you just brought up like so many good points. Also, like not trying to like generalize your story because obviously that's like your journey, but you brought up so many like relatable points of like having big changes and like losing people that are close to you and learning new things about yourself that you never anticipated having to consider in the first place and like learning to let go and kind of let life wash over you and also leaning on the people that care about you for support. Like I'm so quick to be the support, but for some reason I have like a refusal to accept it even when it's being like offered, and I love that you brought that up because I think it is so important to, being able to ask for help is not a weakness. It is a strength, being able to recognize, like, no, I just can't. I just can't. Sometimes you need help, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, that one I've been working on. We were setting up for other people. But even though to last year, because I felt like I was experimenting, but I actually reached out to the founder for a year because I knew I did this all with happening while I was surrounded with guests, but also all of that leading up like for the whole year, right? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It was gonna be much. So even with her asking about my but I still had time was a little bit. So it was good educational about maybe about myself. So that like it's really a way to almost force on other people. Like let me love you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Let other people love me too. And that's the way that I've been working on therapy and I like to think that I'm better at it.
Yes, and that's one of those things that you kind of have to like. Yeah, yeah, and it's one of those things you have to like work at every day, little by little. Like we talked earlier about like some of the things that were going on in each other's lives. And like earlier in the year, I kind of went through like a big change that I wasn't expecting in any way. And it was very like weird to have to go about my everyday life while also dealing with the fact that like I didn't know how to deal with it really at the end of the day. And like you were talking about having your pets at home, like counting on you. I have a dog and I love him to death. He's been scratching at the door for most of this. I hope that's not picking up on the audio. And like there were days when obviously like I could have just like laid there and been completely useless to everyone in the whole world. But then this little face would pop up and be like, play with me. I'm so bored. And it's like, you know what, you're right. Like we have to go outside now, don't we? Like, and that's been doing wonders for just like my overall temperament and my like and my overall well-being. It's just like, yeah, this like little being needs me. I have to show up for that. And even if that's all I do in a day, like it's just like be there for my dog, that is a success.
Yeah, yeah. That was so like a fun sad story is back like right before COVID. Do you remember the Tamagotchi? Those I guess they released like a new version and it got like really popular right at the end of it. And I'm not sure. And as like learning on the board, it was hard for a lot of people to be. There were a lot of people on the forums that were talking about that whole thing is there's a human learning and it needs to be fed and it needs to interact with and only getting on that. And I was like, yeah, I should do look at my dogs, but I'm also having arguments that talk outside or whatever, and they're great, so they're just circulars for the most part. It's another project to do. But yeah, one of the things that I really want to touch you, yeah, being more excited outside is something that needed my attention and got me right out of bed and ready to focus on the day. And it's
This has been so awesome. I'm really enjoying like getting to learn more about you. It's like so okay, like I kind of want to go back to the motorcycles thing for a second because that's the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. Ironically enough, my mom went through a motorcycle phase and she had a Ninja. I always thought I would go through a motorcycle phase, but I have to be honest, I have a lot of road rage. I don't think that's the right move for me. And I keep getting like bigger and bigger and bigger sedans. So, or like, not a sedan, SUV. I have like my car has 3 rows of seats. What would I do with a motorcycle? There's no storage there. But
yeah,
so like, how did you like originally even like want to get into that?
sorry.
How did you like originally? You said that you kind of like went about it backwards. You like learned the motorcycles after you got in the like certification for your license, I believe you said. How did you get that in the first place? Like, what made you interested in
Yeah,
motorcycles?
so my dad runs motorcycles, and he had a couple of so it's kind of one of the things like I've been around it. My uncle that was he's in the Harley chapter, so I really would say the Brian and super great, um, got I got my license in sorry, there it is. I got my license in and then I turned 19 it was time to realize and I just happened to have a state and a license. At that time, I was in Alabama. It was slow for driver's license to get that upstairs and test. I took it cold. I passed. And it's like, okay, cool. So a little M on my license and called it a day. And that was like as far as I got with that. Before that, there's a lot more to get here. Investment. And then also being in the military, like every 3 to 5 years, you have to take like every 2 to 3 years or something. Like refresher courses. Very after that, I took one out of services to the fresh life that I ride. So, and some people say like that, I knew a lot in 13, and I love it, and I still love it, and I took the 4x4 safety course with it. I feel like really confident on that bike. I can do an experience at the space besides the parking lot. I don't know about backwards on one thing, yeah, I did. So, but yeah, that was one of the like big awesome $5 a lot, and after
Wow. That you've done like so many interesting and like cool things in your life.
so I don't like stereotypes. And I remember usually just try everything. So I think really hard about everything. Once I went skydiving on my birthday because I've always wanted
Oh
to
my,
try it. So and was really doing that way. Um, but so really is when not when I first did it, I started thinking about it in high school. Um, and then I got all the way through college. I did for university. My sorority actually sponsored me for that. I did not go that far as teaching dance. I was a facet class as well as a bunch of other dance classes. Fun for me growing up. So I'm teaching dance and I was in college and all I was doing were also collaborators in the South. So they're the ones who are hiring me to create our dances for admins. And then I would get to like go with them in their rehearsals for that. So frankly, it was cool to see that. So I did step competing and kind of work on the scenes. And then went active duty for all of it forever. And then not obviously. And a few years ago, I definitely got back into it. My cousin who was the secretary of it, he was selling some of her products for something and asked me how interview fire is very good fire. And I had I was learning about this fire. So I was like, hey, I'll actually try some of this stuff for me. And she said, great, I'll do this down. And then she's like, hey, if you're thinking about getting back here, there's this good down there that you enjoy, and there's the evidence and sheet for nothing. So I threw everything together and leave. I told the first person I was going to see work, and she's like, go do it. You need to take that time for you to go do something for
yeah.
you. I was like, great, but that first person, so I was like, yeah, and like over decades. And I did do this. So my first national center, so I'm doing the regional title. Which my first national center, like, place my contact or anything like that. But it was still a lot of fun. And it was a cool experience holding that title while I was in the military. Which is like one very unique thing to this level. They realize I'm still in the service. They always talk about that, right? Which I'm happy to do. They're very it's fun. But the number one question I got was, how does your military make you feel about your companions? And this was before Miss America was, before we started seeing this big in the news after training the military, right? And I was like, oh, she's actually so cool with it. She called me and did the restaurants. Like, Air Force Reservists, whatever. Her only rule was not to wear either top or top clothes uniform. That I'm sorry. But overall, it was supportive about it. And then another one of my friends that I used to work with was from there, and she actually asked me if I'd be willing to go to her class about stereotypes, different stereotypes. I would love to do that. So it was on Zoom. Um, so I have my screen blacked out, and she actually was next to me with all of my accolades, like the awards I won, my degrees. I was assigned to active duty, like stuff like that. And when I was finally had to say my name, she introduced me to the whole host and the open screen. So I got my phone and felt behind me, and she was really big. Like, what just happened? That we had a scientist and like doing, so I very much enjoy being surprised. You can't stereotype me, you can't put me in a box, you shouldn't be doing that to people anyway, because they're all so many facets, so many things you can be interested in. Yeah, so.
I love that you brought up the idea of like not loving stereotypes, because I was honestly thinking about this like earlier today. And I've said it like 3 or 4 times now, right? Like I do a lot of stereotypical girly stuff, but I hate the stereotype of being a girly girl, because though I do very girly things, like very publicly, I grew up on a horse farm, like rolling around in the dirt, climbing trees, falling off of boulders, like I'm a little animal, like outside, you know, and my like really close friends and my siblings can like attest to that. If you can't find me, there's a good chance I'm either asleep in the car or like up in a tree somewhere, honestly. So, but like for my own like sanity, I guess, have found ways to do really girly things in non-girly ways. Like I wear a lot of like black floral prints, or like oh my god, like was adamantly opposed to the color pink for like at least a decade, if not 15 years, because I was like, no, no, too girly, can't do it. And now I'm like, whatever, it's a color. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. Like I have this hot pink sweater that is a crazy shade of pink. I never would have bought something like that for myself, but it was a gift. The sweater is awesome. I wear it anyway. Like, you know, that's part of the like letting go, but also like making the stereotype your own. Like maybe I'm going to wear it with like leather pants, so it looks a little less like Barbie pink, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So don't want to keep you all day, so we can start like wrapping this up. But are there any other things that you wanted to maybe share that I hadn't asked you?
So, like I said previously, one of those things is okay so much about self.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really what a lot of it want to take away from this. Like, it's okay to take that. Here's your permission. If anybody watch me, here's your permission. Say no to that one thing. And for the rest, however long we do it, especially as we're coming into this holiday season, a lot of people are running around trying to do all the things, do all the travel, and if you need to say no to something, then that is okay. Because you're taking care of yourself is just as, if not more, important than whatever that little thing is.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Thank you so much, Samantha. It has been wonderful talking to you.
Thank you. It's been fun. It was fun. I face-to-face in person.
Yes, hopefully very soon. I end up in Florida a lot more than I ever intend to be in Florida. Not because I don't love it. I love Florida. The climate is great, but I never make a plan for it. I just end up there, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. Your mom and I are just the three of us going. That's all.
Yeah.
It gives you that mental happiness, like a new interest of mine that I'm just now starting to get to because I have friends.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
But yeah, so hopefully I get to meet you again soon.
Yes, absolutely. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a very happy holiday season.
You too.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.
All right, can I figure this out? Okay. So, just to wrap it up, thank you everybody who tuned in, whether you watched the whole thing. Big shout out to Charles for sticking through all 3 attempts at actually making this live stream happen. Humongous thank you to Samantha for taking the time to come chat with me and share her story with you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, and I will be back next month for the next installment of the self-care series. So stay tuned to see who it will be, and also to see if I can figure out how to do this in 1 take instead of 3. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your day. See you soon.